Hello everybody, welcome to Scottie the Trainer Tuesdays. I am Scottie the Trainer. Thanks for joining me here today. Today I wanted to talk to you about the subject of sugar cookies. That's right, you heard me right, sugar cookies. Now not the sugar cookies that you might be thinking about, but sugar cookies in our life as far as experiences. Let me explain. So this past weekend, took my family to go to a military museum. And while we were there, we ended up talking to some former military veterans. And so as they were sharing with me, one of the men that was there happened to be a former Navy SEAL. And he started talking to me about different things. He told me a great story. You may have heard this before. I don't know if it's been shared, but he told me this one-on-one. I was so impressed by it, I wanted to try to implement it in today's episode. So here it is. He said to me that there was a time in the Navy SEALs, there might be a group of 100 men. And he said so they would get up every single morning and they would do what was called inspection. Not just inspection of their room or their habitat, but inspection of the men. They would get up, they would put on their uniforms, they would polish their belts and their shoes. They would do everything that they could to make sure it was perfect because everybody wanted to pass inspection. Here's what would happen though. Every single morning, they would not pass inspection. And if one man, just one, didn't pass the inspection, the whole group suffered for it. So they started with 100. They'd show up for inspection, and then the men would start looking, and they would always find something. There's a smudge on your belt. Oh, that's not right on your collar. This isn't right. So what they would do is they would then make the whole group go out into the ocean until the waves covered them up over their head. They then would walk back onto the shore. When they walked back onto the shore, they had to throw themselves down onto the beach and roll around until they were covered with that brown sand. Basically, they looked like, you guessed it, sugar cookies. And so then they had to stay in that uniform that was soaking wet, covered in the sand, heavy, for the rest of the day. The next morning, they would get up and start again. Nobody passed inspection, back into the ocean, back onto the beach, rolling around, covered in that brown, heavy sand, looking like sugar cookies. But here's what he said happened. People started quitting, dropping off. He said, I noticed something. The crowd went from 100 to 70 to 50 to 25 to 10. And when we got down to 10 men, all of a sudden, we started passing inspection. And he said, people on the outside might look at it and say, oh, well, you finally learned what you needed to do to pass inspection. He said, no. The whole purpose of the experiment, of the experience itself, had nothing to do with passing inspection. The whole experience was about getting the quitters to stop, getting the people to leave, getting the quitters, the people who finally said, this is too hard, this is too much, we'll never pass inspection, I never will get it right, I'm not doing it anymore. They took their stuff and they went home. He said that was what the whole experience was about. And that started me thinking for a moment. What about the experiences of our life? What about the things that we go through? What about the struggles that we all face and we all go through? What about the times that we went through difficulties and all those people that you thought were your friends all around you started leaving you until all of a sudden your group that was large got small. And then it seems like you started moving to the next level. This former veteran Navy SEAL told me, if you want to get to the next level of your life, you don't get to take everybody with you. What? Are you serious? He said, if you want to get to the next level in your life, you don't get to take everybody with you. That started the old noggin to thinking. What if the experiences of our life, the difficulties of our life, what if they're not all about us getting the inspection right? What if they're not about us looking right? What if they're not about us finally getting the right words together? If I could say the right thing, I'll get to the next level. If I could dress just right, maybe a certain group will like me. What if the next level of our life, what if all the experiences that we're going through is not really about us getting the inspection right? What if it's about narrowing our group to putting us around the people that we actually need to be around? He said when they got down to the 10 people, he said those instructors changed the whole course of the training, changed the whole course of their action, and said, now we have 10 people that have each other's backs because you didn't quit. You got up every morning, you got dressed, you tried to pass the inspection, but you couldn't do it. We narrowed the field, we dropped the numbers, we brought the group closer and more concentrated. And that didn't stop you. You went to that ocean every day. You threw yourself on the ground. You turned into a sugar cookie every single day. And it wasn't about those of you that wouldn't quit. It was about those who needed to quit. Those who couldn't be in the circle. Because now they had 10 people that truly could call themselves Navy SEALs. They protected each other's backs. Not just for the training, but for the exercises and even more importantly, the operations that they were about to go into. The operations where they couldn't have 100 men that might leave you when gunfire started. They couldn't go into operations with 100 men that would run whenever the difficulty got tough. They couldn't put you in battle with 100 men that couldn't truly earn the title of Navy SEAL because they would leave you when the battle got hot. Now they had 10 men that had each other's backs, whether it was by air, by boat, by underwater, by swimming under submarines, by placing those explosive charges under enemy boats. They had to have 10 men that could trust each other because they knew at the end of the day, they were not sugar cookies. But they survived the sugar cookies. Where does that put you and me today? I want to pose the thought. There's people around us that probably left when the battle got hot. There's people around us that probably disappeared when the battle got tough. There were people that you probably thought would always be there, but when you started going through difficult times, they didn't return your text. Your call went straight to voicemail. They no longer knew who you were. You didn't hear from them anymore. They didn't share your videos anymore. They didn't talk to you anymore. They didn't write you letters. You don't bring me flowers anymore. No. Why? Because they were quitters. They couldn't take it. They were real sugar cookies. They didn't realize that the sugar cookie was only an experience to minimize your group and bring together the people that would be there in the struggles of your life. So let me ask you, are you turning into a sugar cookie? Or are you realizing that this is actually an experience to show you who truly is your friend? Not everybody that you call your friend will stand with you in difficult times. There's only a select group out there. And sometimes the universe has a way of thinning the herd so that the people that will stand with you through thick and thin will be there all the time. My uncle used to say that when you'll know that thick and thin, what that really is, because when things get thick, the crowd gets thin. The people that will stand with you in the difficult times are the ones that stood with you when you were overwhelmed by the ocean of life. When you threw yourself down on the sands of life and you rolled around, but they got up with you the next day. They refused to quit. They stand there with you. They think about you. They pray for you. They encourage you. They do everything they can. So maybe, just maybe, the experiences you're going through right now isn't about you quitting. It's about them quitting. So that when you come through it, you have a true group of people that will stand with you in the difficult days. Just something to think about. And I'm Scottie the trainer. That's how I see it.